Luckiest cave divers who escaped death by a miracle. Let's watch it.
Mystic cave tragedy. On October...
I genuinely can't think of a dumber thing to do as a hobby than cave diving. Like, who is a normal person that actually thinks, oh, I want to go fit into a tiny square where I know I have a 99% chance of dying and try to crawl through there with no airway, with water hitting my face, with water in my nose, with bugs all over me. Like, who in their right mind thinks that? Like, it's cool, maybe you go cliff diving, right? You go in the water, but cave diving? There's no way that's a real hobby. You want to die, and that's okay.
7th, 2022, 3 cave explorers entered Mystic Cave in the Black Hills of South Dakota. The cave is located on private property and is considered relatively unknown. The group entered the cave around 9:15 a.m. Their goal was to explore and survey a newly opened lead at the deepest known section. Among the team was 6'2" veteran caver Mark Jennings. The group
6'2"? What are you doing cave diving at 6'2"? Go play in the NBA. Go play golf. Go play a sport. You're 6'2". You're too big to cave dive. You need to be like 5'6.5" max and skinny.
Followed the known path for approximately 40 minutes. The cave narrowed gradually until they reached a small chamber near the previous furthest point. In the corner of the chamber was a recently excavated opening. The lead had been worked on during earlier trips and was just wide enough for a person to fit through. Jennings volunteered to enter. He removed his helmet and boots to reduce his profile. The passage ahead was approximately 9 inches or 22 centimeters high and formed an S-bend, with 2 successive 90-degree turns. He pushed his gear ahead of him and began crawling.
Oh my gosh, what is the point of this? Like, why are they want to squeeze through tight spots where they know they could get stuck and die? I don't understand what the point of it is. It's not even on video. Like, you have eyewitnesses, that's it. You have 2 witnesses. You don't even have a video. You don't even have a vlog. Like, you don't even have a challenge. Like, what are you doing? You're just trying to die.
On his stomach. The first turn required significant twisting and shoulder compression. The second turn was even tighter. Jennings pushed through with difficulty. On the far side, the passage angled steeply upward into a small chamber just large enough to sit in. After resting, he attempted to return the way he came. He descended the slope head first and reached the S-bend. This time, he couldn't get his legs to fold around the corners. He had no room to turn around, no leverage to push backwards, and no way forward. He was trapped, lying flat on his stomach. His teammates attempted to pull him out using his arms. The angle and friction prevented movement. After 1 hour of failed attempts, they exited the cave to get help. 1 caver remained with Jennings. Local rescue was contacted. Teams from the Paja Sapa Grotto and Custer County.
What would you guys actually do if you were in that situation, stuck at a 90-degree angle? Like me, bro, I'm panicking. I'm probably dying of exhaustion because I can't breathe correctly. But knowing I got 2 friends, I know I'll probably be fine, and I'll just have to wait there for like 3-4 hours. So this is the first time I've seen cave divers be smart by bringing friends and knowing that they could get stuck and need help.
A search and rescue responded. Several rescuers had NCRC training. They brought field phones, rope, food, water, heat packs, and a hammer drill. The passage was so tight that only the smallest rescuers could reach Jennings. Even then, they could only access his head and 1 hand. The caver remained calm. He showed no signs of panic. Rescuers began widening the passage with the hammer drill. After each attempt, they tried.
He showed no signs of panic. Yeah, this guy's an expert. He knew he was good. He knew he wasn't going to die. They probably been doing this before. Okay, this is different. It's different when you cave dive with friends or people you know are good at it, and you guys have some developed expertise or whatever, right? And you know the routes. You know what to do if you get like stuck or something. But there's times where people go alone, no plan in mind. They just want to do it. Like when no friends, don't tell anybody. Don't even tell your family. If you don't see me in 24 hours, call the police. Like let people know where you're going. I don't understand what the issue is with this, bro. There's always stories of people getting stuck, dying, this, that, not making it back. You gotta let people know. You gotta be with people. You gotta be ready to ask for help, bro. Not everything has to be, I do it myself. That's the wrong way.
Tried to pull Jennings out using webbing around his arms while he pushed with his legs. Each round removed only small amounts of rock. Progress was slow. After 10 hours, Jennings began shivering uncontrollably.
10 hours? Yo. Nah, guys, if I'm stuck for 10 hours, I'm peacing out of there. I'm just going to sleep. I'm trying to, God, take me away. I don't want to be there for 10 hours stuck in a 90-degree angle. First, that's a very vulnerable angle to be in. Imagine you're stuck at a 90-degree angle. That's very vulnerable as a man. Second off, bro, I'm cold. I'm shivering. I'm hungry. I'm thirsty. I want to go to sleep. I want to go home.
The combination of cold, pressure points, and immobility caused pain and abrasions. Rescuers applied heat packs and covered exposed areas with emergency blankets. The rescue continued through the night in shifts. Rock dust caused irritation. Space constraints made tool use difficult. Each new inch gained was critical. After 15 hours, Jennings was able to move
Each new inch gained was critical. Am I right? My bad.
his knee slightly, his first positional change in over half a day. At 5:45 a.m. on October 8th, after 18 hours trapped, the final extraction attempt succeeded. Jennings was pulled through the modified S-bend using coordinated effort. His body was wrapped in blankets. He was fed and rehydrated. Despite exhaustion, bruising, and early signs of hypothermia, Jennings exited the cave under his own power. By the way, if you're into
Bro, that's how you know you're elite at cave diving. You get stuck there for 12 hours and then you finally get free and you just simply just walk out of there, escape. Y'all think that the cave rescuers get like frustrated when they know they have to do a real mission, right? Or do they get happy? Because they probably don't ever get like tons of calls because it's not that often people get stuck or are out there alone in the water or whatever, you know, these people go to. But I bet money they were probably playing Smash Bros. And then they got the call. They're like, finally, we get to do a job. Like, it's rare that these people get to do their jobs, and I'm glad they're trained for it.
Bouverie Cave Tragedy. In May 2008, 34-year-old Jeffrey McDonald arrived alone at Bouverie Cave, tucked deep within the remote highlands of southern
Imagine being 34 in 2008. Like, how old are you now? He's like 50 years old, bro. That's my father's age.
Australia. The cave, known only to a small group of experienced cavers, was locked behind a reinforced gate to protect its fragile limestone formations. But Jeffrey had managed to secure a key. He was an experienced spelunker and photographer with a particular fascination for rarely seen underground chambers. That Friday afternoon, he decided to explore the cave alone. At first, the descent was...
This is what I'm talking about. Why are you doing it alone? Second off, if the cave is locked off, it's locked off for a reason. Nobody's supposed to go in there. There's some stuff going on there. It's fragile. You're not... Why? What are you doing? Use your brain. People don't use IQ anymore. And this critical thinking is only going to get worse because of AI taking over our schools. I'm predicting it now. We're going to see an uptick in a bunch of like natural deaths, like out in the water, cave diving, all this.
Uneventful. He used a wire and metal collapsible ladder to lower himself into the cave's first chamber, where the air was thick with the scent of damp minerals. His headlamp illuminated the wet stone.
You guys think being in a cave is like the same thing as when you're in Mount Moon in like Fire Red Pokemon, or no? Like where you just go around and fighting bats or Golbats, whatever their names are, Zubats? Is that the same thing, or am I tripping?
Filling jagged walls, slick with condensation. Jeffrey's destination was a rarely visited side chamber, accessible only through a tight vertical fissure. To reach it, he had to maneuver feet first into a narrow passage barely wider than his own body. As he descended into the crack, disaster struck. Without warning, two slabs of limestone broke loose. One crushed his hip, the other wedged against his shoulder. The rocks pinned him in a twisted, contorted position. His chest was compressed. His arms were pinned at his sides.
If a cave is closed down because the limestone is fragile and it could break, and you are aware of that beforehand, and then you go in the cave and then you get stuck because the limestone is fragile and it breaks, that is your fault. I'm sorry. I feel bad for you, obviously, but that is your fault. And I want to see how you get saved, because at times, you know, other people should have been saved when they weren't able to. And this guy, he got lucky.
He was trapped, alone, immobile, and unable to call for help. His voice didn't carry far in the thick rock, and no one knew he was down there. Outside, his group was still preparing for the weekend trip, unaware that Jeffrey had entered the cave early. No one expected to hear from him that night. His absence wouldn't even be noticed until the following day. Inside the cave, time passed slowly. Jeffrey drifted in and out of consciousness. Blood flow to his legs was restricted. Hypothermia crept in. He was dressed in nylon overalls designed to retain heat, but they offered little protection against the cave's damp cold. He had no food, no water, no way out. It wasn't until Saturday morning that concern began to rise. Jeffrey never met up with the others. His gear was untouched at camp. His phone was off. Panic set in. By noon, authorities were notified. Rescuers guessed he might have gone to Bouverie Cave, a site he had spoken of often. When they reached the entrance, the gate was unlocked. Inside, the cave descended quickly into a maze of chambers. The team followed a faint trail, then spotted a backpack abandoned near a narrow vertical crack. A ladder was anchored at the top. At 9 a.m. Sunday, a rescuer peered inside and saw the beam of a headlamp flicker faintly in the darkness below. Jeffrey was still alive. Barely conscious, he murmured incoherently. The cold had drained him of all strength. Rescuers reached down but found his body pinned tightly by stone. The first slab, pressing into his shoulder, had some give. Carefully, they shifted it just enough to free his upper body. The second slab, pressing into his hip, wasn't moving at all. More teams arrived. Airbags, heavy-duty inflatable cushions, were slowly inserted into the crack and inflated millimeter by millimeter. The risk of collapse was high. Rescuers worked in total silence, mud-covered and exhausted, navigating one of the tightest rescues in Australian caving history.
You know how dangerous that is, not even just for yourself, but how like irresponsible that is. This dude put so many other people in danger by going into a cave that easily will break apart. So now they have to do their best job, they have to do their highest skill effort. And yeah, that's what they get trained to do and they get paid to do, right? But imagine if it breaks. Now 3, 4, 5 people are dead, all because you decided to be a dumb idiot who wanted to cave dive in something you had no experience doing. Or you did have experience, but you didn't tell nobody.
After nearly 54 hours underground, the rock finally gave way. Jeffrey's limp body was pulled free, arms first, through the same narrow gap that had almost become his tomb. The stretcher couldn't fit through many parts of the cave, so teams used rigging systems and chisels to widen passageways as they moved. Every movement had to be measured and calculated. Rescuers worked in shifts, some collapsing from exhaustion. At 9:10 p.m. Sunday night, the first rescuer emerged. Moments later, Jeffrey followed.
Bro, that's a big shout out to first responders, all the people that go save people, all the cops, all the firefighters, all the, everybody that deals with helping people in situations when it's critical. Shout out to them. Your job is dangerous. They went unconscious from exhaustion. They were doing handy dandy Minecraft detailed work. Like, that's crazy. All to save one life, this one dumb guy.
His body was hypothermic, dehydrated, and bruised, but he was alive. He was rushed to Goulburn Base Hospital, then transferred to Liverpool Hospital. His condition was listed as serious but stable. Chakra Mountain.
I know it's like supposed to be a happy moment because he got saved, right? But how fat do you think that medical bill is? Like 400,000? Y'all think he's in debt or y'all think he had good insurance? Because people be getting their lives saved, go to an ambulance or go to the hospital, then comes out they leave with a $1.3 million bill and file for bankruptcy, and then they're in medical debt for the rest of their lives.
Caves. On August 12th, 2019, 28-year-old farmer Sam Bora entered the caves of Cambodia's Chakra Mountain, not for fun, but for survival. As a guano harvester, he collected bat droppings used as fertilizer, an essential resource for rural farming communities unable to afford industrial alternatives. Bora was one of the best. Small.
Oh, hold on, you're telling me it's way more economically efficient for him to collect bat poop than for them to somehow make fertilizer in other ways? Do they not know you could get like a compost bin and it's natural fertilizer from like fruits, vegetables, this, that, droppings, leaves, like all that? You don't gotta risk your life every time.
And experienced, he could reach deposits others couldn't. That day, he packed a flashlight, water, dried rice, and a few cloth sacks, expecting a standard 3-day expedition. By midday, he had descended over 1,200 feet or 370 meters into the cave system, far deeper than most harvesters ever ventured. The air was thick with the ammonia scent of guano. While crawling through a narrow corridor, his flashlight slipped from his hand and fell into a 6-inch wide crevice in the limestone floor. Instinctively, Bora lay flat and reached in. As he stretched forward to feel for the light, gravity took over. His shoulders and chest slid into the crack, which narrowed as it went deeper. He became wedged, his torso trapped between smooth limestone walls and his legs still on the cave floor above. Attempts to move only forced him further in. The cave was pitch black. His water and supplies sat out of reach in his backpack. The smooth rock offered no grip, and his arms were pinned. He screamed, but no one was around to hear him.
Wait, I'm confused. He's horizontal? How are you possibly horizontal? Wouldn't you just keep falling down and like end up like in a collapsed position, like in the Friday the 13th movie where the bed crushes them and they're like this?
Time lost meaning. As hours passed, the cold seeped into his body, circulation slowed, and his chest ached under the pressure. By the second day, dehydration set in, bringing headaches and mental confusion. His voice weakened. Hallucinations began. The silence and isolation broke him down, and by day 3, he began to wish for an end to the suffering. Back in his village, his family grew concerned. Bora never missed a return. His brother recalled him mentioning Chakra Mountain and launched a search. Inside the cave, they followed footprints until they heard a faint human cry. Crawling toward the sound, they found him, his body wedged in stone, barely conscious, after more than 4 days underground. The discovery triggered the largest cave
Oh, okay. It was like sideways like this. Okay, never mind. I get the picture in my mind now.
rescue in the region's history. Over 200 responders, rescuers, medics, and cavers assembled to extract him from a 6-inch crack located 1,200 feet into the mountain. The effort took 10 hours. Rescuers chipped away at the limestone, inch by inch, while medics provided IV fluids and monitored his condition. A relay chain kept communication flowing between the surface and rescue site. Finally, after 4 days and 17 hours of entrapment, Bora was pulled free and rushed to Battambang Provincial Hospital. He was severely dehydrated and mentally shattered, but physically intact.
What kind of effect does that leave on people? Do you think they go back to cave diving, or do they like switch careers and hobbies and are massively traumatized? Anyways, that was the end of the video. You know, you should probably not go cave diving. I don't think it's a good hobby for anybody, even the experts, because there's not that it's dangerous. I mean, it is dangerous, but there's way too many like bad things to go on like with it. You should just go on a hike. You should go cliff jumping. That's also dangerous, but you know, everything's dangerous nowadays. There's always a way we can die in this world, in this era. But yeah, if you like the video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what else you want me to watch, and have a good one. And let me know what your favorite cave in Northern Africa is. Bye.